This is the first time I'm trying the Zoom recording. So let's see how it works. Here I have Eclipse open. I downloaded the latest Eclipse. It's much more faster. So if you're using an old version of Eclipse, yeah, please update to the latest. This is the Eclipse version I'm using. Eclipse ID 2020, 12. Okay, it's pretty fast. Here, let me start by creating a new project local to my laptop. I can start with a Java project. Okay, learn Java and okay, I give some name. Okay, let me go with the defaults, whatever is here in the system. Okay, let's click finish. It's asking for a module name. So I don't need a module. Open Java perspective. Yes, say yes to this because then it does open all the windows that's required for developing a Java application. So I'll say remember my decision so that it doesn't ask the same question again. That's it. A new project is created. Okay, in the source folder, let's say I create a new package. Let's start with the package. Com dot first. Okay, com dot first. Okay, so now that package has been created. Now I can just say new class. Also, I can always do a new file. I think it's better if you're learning for the first time. It's better to do a new file. Okay, and you're creating under the com first directory. So let me call it as my first.java. Okay. So I have a file called first.java and it's under the com.first directory. So naturally the package name will be com.first. Okay. Okay. And so let me go ahead and write my first program public class first. Okay. And close brace. And all program starts with the public static void main. That's where the Java interpreter, when he loads the class, it tries to look for a main in the class. Okay, so public static void main string Okay, as you saw, as soon as I saved it, the formatting changed. That's because I have already activated the save settings here. With this, I think it's Java editor and save actions as and ask it to format the lines automatically. Okay, each time I do a save, it automatically changes all the things that's required. Like for example, if I just say java.io dot star, for example, import. If I save it, then it's automatically gonna uh, remove if something is not required. Okay, so here what I have is a public static void main. Okay, and system dot out dot println. Okay, this is my first application. Uh, hello world. Okay, it's complaining that it doesn't see this class. Okay, I think there was a typo I cannot see. Okay, as you can see, as soon as I saved it, it's automatically formatted it. It removed that import java.io.star because I'm not making use of uh, any java.io classes here. However, if I just add file, my file equals new file, okay, just say I do that, then it needs a file, so I could I could change it to import java.io.file. Okay, then it's able to resolve this. Okay, it's a name. Okay, it's able to resolve this file, right? Because I am importing that file. I can also go ahead and put a star here. So syntactically, this is correct. For Java, it's fine. I can import all the classes within the java.io.package. However, when I try to save it, it automatically changes to java.io.file. This is not a normal behavior of Java, but in Eclipse, we have enabled this save actions. In the save actions, you can see organize the imports, okay? And if you say organize the imports, it not only organizes the imports in a alphabetical order, but it also, if there's any star specified, it removes that and puts specific classes. This is a better practice than using wildcards like star, because if we are importing two different packages, let's say here we imported java.io. Let's say I imported something from apache.commons dot something like that. And if at all apache.commons.io also had something like a file, then when I make use of file here, we wouldn't know whether that file is getting picked from here or here. Okay, so using a wildcard is not a good practice, but if you're making use of a lot of classes within a, a package, you start with star and then start developing, but when you save, it automatically removes and cleans up whatever the import that is required, and it keeps the program clean. Okay, so far so good. This is my first application. You just say hello. Of course I don't need file right now, so let me simplify that. Okay, this is my first program. Let me go ahead and execute it. I run as Java application. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, and there you go. Hello world is created. So let's start experimenting a little bit more on this. Uh, Before I did a run as, now I'll go to run as and run configuration. In the run configuration, you can see I have something called first. And if you look at the arguments, you should take effort to look at all those tabs, what it actually means. My class is com.first.first. Right? This is the package com.first. Under that, I have first.java. So that's the main class. Okay. If I could have second dot, we'll come to those details later. Then, if I want to pass in some kind of arguments here, I can say, let's say, for example, Praveen as my first argument. Okay. Now I can apply. However, I'm not processing any arguments here. I'm taking the arguments out that's not being processed. Okay. Now I args of 0. Let's say I do this. Okay. Now if I run the same program, I can also click this to run the same program. Okay. And it remembers what all the previous programs that I ran. Okay. So I usually use this to run the same program. It says hello world Praveen. So how did Praveen come here? Because I am taking the arguments that was passed in to this function, and I'm taking the first argument and then printing it. Okay. I While running, I specified the argument here. Now what happens if I just remove the argument and try to run it? Okay, I get an exception called array index out of bound exception. That means args is an array. Here I'm accessing the first element of the array. However, I'm not passing any argument, so it doesn't have any elements at all. But it doesn't have elements, and I'm trying to access an element. That's why it just throws this exception. So it's always good to check before whether such argument exists. For example, here I would do args.length, okay, is greater than 0. That means at least I have one argument. Then I would use args 0, okay. Else I will just print hello world, okay. Now if I try to execute, it says hello world. But if I add an argument here and run, and it says hello world Praveen. So since it had an argument, it came right here. Okay. So let's try to look it up differently. Debugging is a very nice capability in Eclipse. What we need to do is set the line where you want the execution to stop and pause for some time so that you can look at what's going on within the application. Okay. It's a very powerful feature in Eclipse, and first you put a breakpoint. Breakpoint means it will stop running at this location. Okay, toggle breakpoint here. Okay, I usually use the shortcuts Control Shift P, and instead of doing run, now what we will do is debug as Java application. Okay, so here it's asking this question: do I need to switch the perspective to debug mode? What this means is now it will pop up few more windows that will help us look at the out which will help us with debug. Okay, so let's say switch, and I'll say remember the decision. Okay, so The program started executing and it stopped here. Okay, it stopped here. And that gives us an opportunity to look at what's in the args uh, variable. So it just mouse over the variable that you want to see, and then you go into args. Okay, the zeroth element is set to Praveen. Okay, that's because in the run configuration, we had given an argument, and that argument was Praveen. That's why the first element is set to Praveen. If I had given more arguments, then there will be more elements here. Now, if args.length is greater than 0, obviously it is greater because I at least have one argument here. Okay, so it will again, the next step is to step in. Okay, okay, step over or step into. Okay, we'll discuss what the step over and step into is. Currently, let me do a step over. Okay, now it came to the next line. Okay, now I will do a step over again. I use the shortcuts F6 function F6. Okay, okay, it executed. Hello world Praveen. The system.out.println was there. It executed. Now the program is done. So I just let it continue execution. As I'll say resume. Okay, this is how you can see what's going on within the program. And you can walk through the program step by step. Okay, and then you can use this step into or step over functionality to walk through the whole program and try to understand it. Okay, this is my first session that I'm trying Zoom screen share and also recording. I hope it's working. Let me check. I'll do a stop share and do a stop recording.